Hello Year 9, so here we are. We've got our revision lesson about mi gente, mi familia and mis amigos. This is towards the end of your first unit in theme 1, which is about me, my family and my friends. And there is a worksheet to accompany this lesson, but that's only for the listening tasks and the 2 writing tasks at the very end. So, with the structure, this is obviously over 2 hours. So the first half, approximately 1 hour, we're going to be focusing on the vocabulary from this unit, and it ends with a photo description. It's optional for you to send this to your teacher, but I have done some example answers at the end. And the second half, you can either carry on or pause. It's going to be another hour, focusing on adjectival agreements, and it does end with a translation and a 90-word question, which you must send both of these to your teacher, please. Okay, so without further ado, let's go. So let's recap on this vocab, and there is a great website called Memrise. Miss Watson has found this link for you, and you may need to create an account. You can do this with any email you've got, and there's also an app. I really recommend this, and it's very particular about your spelling and your accent. So spend about 15 minutes on this just to get your eye in and then come back. Okay, so now I want you to match up the sentences on the left-hand side of the screen that are in Spanish to the translation in English that's on the right-hand side. Give yourself no more than 3 to 4 minutes and come back for the answers. Also, what do they have in common? Okay, so hopefully these are what you matched your answers to. So hablar por Skype, to talk over Skype, sacar fotos, to take photos. It's really important you take note of this, that sacar fotos is the phrase you need, not tomar fotos, which we have seen in your writing, probably thanks to Google, but it is sacar, because if you were to say tomar fotos, this is Latin American Spanish. Next up, we've got mandar mensajes, to send messages, chatear con mis amigos, to chat with my friends. This is more to do with online chatting. Descargar canciones y aplicaciones, to download songs and apps. Jugar con mi móvil, to play on my phone or to play with my phone. Ver vídeos y películas, to watch videos and movies or films. Leer mis SMS, to read my texts. You could always change SMS to WhatsApps. They do say it like that in Spanish. And compartir mis vídeos favoritos is to share my favorite videos. Excellent. So what do they have in common? Well, the common theme you should have found is that they all start with an infinitive verb. So that ends in AR, ER and IR in Spanish, and they're talking about things you can do in your spare time. Let's have a recap of the present tense. Hopefully you did this in your grammar lesson last week, but let's recap because you're going to need it for the next activity. So when to use the present tense. Talking about something that's happening right now, and the formation. You find an infinitive, you remove AR, ER and IR, and you add the ending you want, which are as follows. So you've got your pronouns here, I, you, he, she, we, you all, and they. And then you've got your endings for AR, ER, and IR. ER and IR are very similar, you just got to watch out for these ones here. So let's have a look at an example. We have got hablar, which means to speak. I've got to take off AR, which are the last 2 letters, and I want to say I speak. So I'm going to go to the table, find the AR column, and I'm going to find the pronoun that means I. I know that yo means I, so I'm going to add O to the end of this, habla. So it changes to hablo, I speak. What I'd like you to do now is translate the following 8 sentences into Spanish. You can go back to the previous slides and see the phrases that you're going to need help with. First few are in green, then they get progressively harder. Watch out for some of them either being irregular or stem changing verbs. And for a bit more support, you've got your possessive adjectives, so this is to say my, your, his or her, and choose the correct one depending on the noun, so make sure it agrees. Give yourself, I'd say, 6 to 8 minutes for this one. Come back when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so hopefully these were the answers you had. So I talk on Skype or via Skype with my friends. Underlined words are your possessive adjectives. So my, yours, his or hers, ours, his or her, their, and your. So hablo por Skype con mis amigos, sacas fotos con tu teléfono, chatean con sus amigos, descargamos aplicaciones, canciones y aplicaciones. Number 5, leemos nuestros SMS. These were our red options, 6, 7, and 8. So we've got stem changing verb here, juega from jugar con su móvil. Number 7, ve sus videos favoritos. This is irregular in some of the forms, so make sure you're keeping an eye on that one. And then sharing your photos. The reason why it's vuestras fotos is because even though it ends in os for fotos, it's actually a feminine noun, so it's going to be vuestras fotos. Okay, so you've got a listening task now, guys. All of the information is on the worksheet that should hopefully have been sent to you. Please follow the instructions and the links provided and come back for the answers. You can pause the listening as many times as you need, and there is a transcript to help you as well. Okay, so hopefully you've got your answers ready, and they are as follows. So you had to note down the activities. There should have been 2 per person. Pause the video, mark what you've got, and then we'll move on. Okay. So stem changing verbs, we're going to quickly recap on this because you're going to need it for an exercise that's yet to come. So stem changing verbs are also known as root changing verbs, radical changing verbs, sometimes they're known as boot verbs as well. And basically, the spelling changes in the stem or the main part of the verb. It can happen in other tenses, but it's mainly seen in the present tense, and that's all you need to worry about for the next exercise, present tense. The most common stem changes are from E to IE, for example, entender, which means to understand. So to say I understand is entiendo, because this E here has changed to IE here. Not the first one, because that's almost like the prefix. Then you've got your stem, and then you've got your infinitive ending. Same for this one, O to UE. There's only one O, so we know it's going to be this one. To be able to, poder, changes to puedo to say I can. Jugar, which is to play, is another stem changing verb, and you see this a lot, but it is the only stem changing verb that is in the category of U to UE. The key point about stem changing verbs is that all of them change except for nosotros and vosotros, meaning we and you all. Let's have a look at an example. Feel free to pause this and make any notes. So you have got poder, which was one of our examples on the last slide. The rule is O to UE, and we've got our boot here, which is what I said sometimes these verbs are called. So puedo, I can, puedes, you can, puede, he, she can, podemos, we can, podéis, you all can, and pueden, they can. So as you can see, the O in the infinitive has changed to UE. And then to turn it into the person we want, we drop the ER and we just conjugate it like a normal infinitive into the present tense. And we just keep it the same for nosotros, meaning we, and vosotros, meaning you all. Here we've got another example, but we've got querer this time, which means to want or to love. So I want, quiero. You want, quieres. He, she wants, quiere. We want queremos, you all want queréis, and they want quieren. So you can tell there's a pronunciation difference because the ones with the IE are a bit more like a key sound at the beginning, quiero, quieres, and without the I it's a que kind of sound, so queremos, almost like you're saying care, as in I care for someone, so queremos, queréis. Okay, focusing on just querer and poder, you can always go back to the previous slides if you need some help. I want you to fill in the gaps with the correct form, then translate the sentence. For example, number 1, something, ir de compras. I want you to change querer into you singular. I know that from the previous slide that querer is the E to IE stem change. I then am going to drop ER and I'm going to add ES because I'm saying you singular. So the answer is going to be quieres. And then I translate, which would be, do you want to go shopping? See if you can do the rest for me and come back for the answers. Okay, so hopefully we have got the following answers for the verbs first of all, and then we'll do the translation after. Number 2, no puedo, because we're talking about myself, I. Number 3, Miguel no puede, he, third person. Still changing the stem, changing the ending. You plural, we know that this one does not change in the stem, so it's going to stay exactly the same here, this E. We're just changing the ER to queréis. And then you singular, we're back to changing the stem and the ending, so nunca quieres hacer nada con tus padres. And then we've got a gap here, and it's we. We know that we and you plural do not change in the stem, so it's going to be podemos quedarnos más tarde. And these would be your translations. Pause the video and correct your work. Okay, so you have now got a translation to do. I would give yourself a maximum, 12 to 15 minutes on this one. There's a couple of phrases in here that you may not have seen before, so in which case I want you to think about the techniques from the grammar session about looking up words in word reference. Try not to use it and see if you can read it first, think about the context, think about the vocabulary, and then break it down. It's all in sentences, it just looks more because it's in a paragraph. Break it down bit by bit. Come back for the answer when you're ready. Okay, so hopefully you have got this. So new vocabulary for you, un internado, a boarding school. And at the end, you had mi madre no quiere que lo haga. My mum doesn't want me to do it. And ya que, meaning as. There's some top level Spanish vocabulary for you, so go and note those down. Okay, moving on. See if you can quickly work out and remember this family vocabulary. Imagine it's a think, pair, share in class. Come back as quick as you can. Okay, so these are hopefully your answers. So padre, madre, dad, mum, padrastro, madrastra, stepmom and stepdad. Hermano, hermana, brother, sister. Hermanastro, hermanastra, stepbrother, stepsister. Abuelo, abuela, grandma and granddad. Bisabuelo, bisabuela. They are your great-grandparents. Tío, tía, auntie and uncle. Primo, I've just written cousin down because you know that from agreeing with things, if you're talking about a boy, it's primo. Talking about a girl, it's prima. Sobrino, sobrina, nephew and niece. And the last one is husband and wife. Okay, this is the last part of the first half of your lesson. You've got to describe the photo. As you always know, the first question is ¿Qué hay en la foto? And you have got to respond with saying en la foto hay. In the photo there is. Look at what's there and then have a read of these other questions and see if you can answer them. Notice the tense being used. That's going to get your mark up. So this one, ¿te gustaría tener una familia numerosa? Would you like to have a big family? And ¿qué hiciste con tu familia el fin de semana pasado? Big clue there, pasado, past tense. What did you do with your family last weekend? I would give yourself a solid 15 minutes on this task, maybe even 20, and then come back for some example answers. Okay, so here is what I put down for what is in the photo. En la foto hay una familia grande. Puedo ver. Nice phrase for you. I can see. And then I've said some parents, some grandparents, some young people, unos jóvenes. That could be que pueden ser hermanos o primos. That could be brothers or cousins. The reason why I've gone for the indefinite article to say some parents, some grandparents, is because I'm being very general. Next point. Los abuelos llevan gafas y tienen el pelo blanco. The grandparents are wearing glasses and they have white hair. And then the last point I put, you could have put plenty more. The last point I put is toda la gente, everybody, lleva ropa con muchos colores y se parece contenta. Key thing to note down here is that la gente is always feminine singular, hence toda, and contenta. I know that it translates to something plural, so everybody, and you'd want to say, well, they are, but technically it is all the people wear clothes with a lot of colours and he, she seems happy because it's feminine form here. For the second question, ¿te gustaría tener una familia numerosa? This is just an example. So I've indicated at the beginning of my answer, en el futuro, that I'm going to be using a different tense. It shows the examiner I understand the question and I'm going to take the vocabulary from the question and make it mine. So instead of saying te gustaría, because I'm not saying you would like, I'm saying I would like, me gustaría. I would like to have a family, but I don't know. Pero no lo sé cuándo. I don't know when. Family is important to me. La familia es importante para mí. Pero quiero viajar un poco antes de tener hijos. But I want to travel a little bit before having children. That would be a fantastic answer because you've indicated you're going to do something in the future, you're giving another opinion to it, you're going further to say how family is important, but you're then going a bit further in another tense to say what your plans are before. And then the last question, ¿qué hiciste con tu familia el fin de semana pasado? So we know they want a speaking in the past tense, so take that from the question first of all. So, last weekend, el fin de semana pasado. I went to a restaurant, irregular verb, fui, shows your knowledge. A un restaurante con mi familia. You recognise the questions asking about your family, so you include them in the first sentence. We ate Italian food and we had a lot of fun. Now you're going into the present tense with an opinion and a reason. Really important, you tell us why. I love Italian food because it is delicious. It's short and simple, but that's all it needs to be in the speaking exam. Concise. Okay, so that would have been the end of your first half, and this is now the second half of the lesson. Woo! Right, looking at adjectival agreements. Masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, feminine plural. Those are the rules you need to be thinking about. So look at the phrases below, pause the video and decide when we would use them, why we are only using es and not está, and why do we use lleva and not tiene. Come back when you're ready. Okay, so the translations are as follows. So we've got brown, dark brown, blonde, red-headed, bald, tall, short, thin, fat. And then we've also got he, she is Spanish, Peruvian, English. He, she wears glasses, a beard, mustache. So why are we using es and not está for these ones here? So we are using es for these first four because we're saying that he or she is brown, as in she has brown hair. It's just another way. Like you might hear someone describing someone going, oh, well, she's the blonde lady sitting over there. So she is blonde. We don't say someone has bald, we say he, she is bald. And when you're describing the characteristics or the physical features of someone, we're going to be saying he, she is. And this is all permanent. This is not temporary. So that's why we wouldn't be using está. And that's the same here. We're talking about nationality here. That is always going to be a permanent trait. Even if you move around the world, you are still going to be originally from somewhere. So he, she is permanently from Spain. He, she is permanently Spanish. And the red option, the reason why it's lleva and not tiene, yes, you might think, oh, well, you can say tiene gafas. Yeah, he, she has glasses. But the reason why we're saying lleva is because he, she wears them. You wear them on your face. And in Spanish, they're very literal about facial hair. So he, she wears a beard on their face and he, she wears a mustache on their face. Okay? Lovely. So now we know a bit more. I want you to translate the phrases below. And how would the translation be different if you used es instead of tiene? Give yourself no more than 5 minutes and come back for the answers. Okay, so hopefully tiene pecas was translated to he, she has freckles. Tiene el pelo moreno, castaño, rubio, rojo. He, she has brown, dark brown, blonde, red hair. Tiene el pelo corto, largo, liso, rizado, ondulado. He, she has short, long, straight, wavy, and curly hair. Sorry, other way around those ones. Curly, then wavy hair. And then tiene los ojos azules, marrones, verdes, and grises. He, she has blue, brown, green, and grey eyes. Make sure when you're talking about someone and their hair and their eyes and you are using tiene that you have the definite article. Some people have missed it out in their writing and it doesn't lose the clarity but it just loses the accuracy. So it's really important. Tiene el pelo, tiene los ojos. For the red question, only one phrase would work with es. All of the other ones don't make any sense. So he, she is freckles. He, she is short, long, straight, curly, wavy hair. He, she is blonde, blue, green, grey eyes. This is the only one that would work because you would be saying tiene, sorry, not tiene, es. Es moreno, he, she is brown. Es castaño, like the ones we saw on the previous slide. Okay, so you've got listening task 2. Go back to the worksheet, follow all the instructions and come back for the answers. Remember, you can pause the video as many times as you need and replay the listening. Okay, so these are your answers. Pause the video and make a note of what you've got. Okay, and the points to take away from the listening are that tener años is talking about age. We always say we have X amount of years in Spanish. Same for French as well. Es, describing characteristics and personality because it's permanent. And the use of tampoco, this is the negative version of también. I've got some examples here for you. So, vivo en Horsham y también voy al insti en Horsham. So, I live in Horsham and I also go to school in Horsham. But if we turn it on its head, so no vivo en Horsham y tampoco voy al insti en Horsham. I do not live in Horsham, nor do I go to school in Horsham. Or you could also translate it as, and I also do not go to school in Horsham. That's a great word for you to have down. Okay, so this is the first task that you have to be sending to your teacher, please. You've got this text and we would like you to translate it into English. Remember, when translating, you need to read the text first before you do anything else. You then need to think about the vocabulary that's being used, and really importantly when translating from Spanish to English is the word order. It's not always going to be the same. For example, this phrase here, los ojos grises. You're not going to say the eyes grey, you're going to say something else. And this is the second task that you need to be sending to your teacher. It's a 90-word question, and you have got to incluye una descripción detallada de cómo eres y cómo es tu mejor amiga. You've done something very similar to this before. So you're describing yourself and you're describing your best friend. Think about your adjectives, opinions with reasons, comparatives, and anything else you can think about. Maybe try and get in an action that you used to do together, so the imperfect tense. For example, y vamos de compras todos los fines de semana. We used to go shopping every weekend. That'd be a nice phrase if you wanted to include that. Any questions, guys? Get in contact with your teacher. Estamos aquí para ayudaros. Adiós, gracias.